See, it happens
See?
to the best of us.
I'm glad I'm not the only
He
one.
barely made it 10 seconds.
Is that always the case, Hannah?
Hello, Wanderers. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Jess.
And this is Wicked Wanderings.
Hello, Hannah.
Hello, Rob.
Hello, Jess.
Hello, Rob.
And hello, Wanderers. My name is Rob. I'm the producer of Wicked Wanderings. Today, we have a special show for you. I'll be asking Hannah and Jess questions so you, our fantastic listeners, can get to know them a little bit better. Shall we start?
Fucking course we should.
So I came up with a couple questions as well as the ladies. Here we go. You ready?
Don't call me ladies.
Let's
Sorry.
do this.
All right. Question number one. How did you two meet?
Well, I'm going to tell my version first.
All right.
And then you can add in if you want. Okay. Hannah and I worked together. She was my supervisor doing ABA work at a local agency, obviously. And this was my first time doing ABA, and Hannah and I would talk here and there through our sessions when she would join. And I realized that ABA was not my thing because it made me feel like I was the bad guy. And so when I told Hannah I was quitting, I told her, Mike, hey, I have some good news and I have some bad news. Which one do you want first? And I think you chose the bad news.
I always choose bad news first.
So I said, well, I just put in my 2 weeks. And she's like, okay, well, what's the good news? I'm like, the good news is we can be friends now. And so, yeah, here we are. Now we're friends.
So it was basically what Jess said, but when I was told by our supervisor, so mine and hers, that, oh, you're going to have this new girl, Jess, and so we had to meet to go over the case and whatnot, and I meet with her, and I'm like, all right, she's really sweet, but I don't know, because the first thing she says to me is like, I have to move closer to you so we can get to know each other. And I was like, okay, sure.
Did I
like,
say that?
Yeah, it was something like I can't, like you couldn't hear me, but like you wanted to like move closer somehow.
And then our legs touched.
The thing is, I'm a New Englander. Like, personal affection is not something we do. So I don't know if it's a Utah thing.
Maybe it's just a crazy thing.
But anyways, we got on the case and we slowly started understanding each other, and we had the same sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And we liked the same things. So it was one of bittersweet things.
Yeah.
Ever. So I was really glad. But homegirl over here gave her my number. I didn't hear from her for like 2 months, and I thought she forgot all about me. And then out of the blue, she had lost my number, and that's why.
Yeah.
I thought she was just like, hey, yeah, let's be friends. And she like totally mean girl status, like, fuck that bitch.
I totally didn't ghost you. Keep in mind, it was the holidays, and there was a lot.
No.
So
there's
did
no
you
excuse.
lose her number?
I misplaced it, and then I found it.
You did find it.
Yes.
I think it was in a bag, and then you didn't use that bag for a while.
Yeah, it was like in some notebook out of the 50 notebooks I used at a time, in some bag out of my 50 bags that I have, and I hunted it down, and then it's true love after that. Basically.
All right. So since we're talking about work, what do you guys do for work?
You go first. I went
All
first.
right. I am a BCBA, which is a board certified behavior analyst, which means that I shape behavior. And it is part of the bigger field of applied behavior analysis. So I am considered a scientist. But the thing that I'm liking really now about my field is there's a lot of trauma assumed things coming to light in the field, which I'm really appreciating.
Yes.
Because if you look up anywhere about ABA, you will find people that absolutely hate it. They think it hurts people more than anything. If you look at the history of ABA, where we started, it was horrific things that were happening to people that we were doing in the name of science, right? What I'm really liking about the field, it's kind of like developing this care and trust and bonding with clients and students rather than just treating them like a test animal. So I'm really proud of the field in that respect. So I work at a school right now, and I'm a district BCBA, and I'm loving it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it. I do have a follow-up question on that, though.
Ooh, okay.
Do you attempt any of your behavior modification with Rob?
I plead the fifth.
All the time.
I will say that in grad school, there was a lot of things that we had to do for homework. And they're always like, yeah, choose your partner or your best friend. And Rob had to succumb to a lot of homework with me. And he always did an amazing job. And it was really hard for him to be a kid. Like, okay, I need you to engage in some problem behavior. He's like, what? Like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I don't know. Like, whatever you want to do. And he's like, well, like whining. Like, it's like, all right, that works. I usually had to like bribe him with candy. I remember one time I actually had to give you candy at the end.
I mean, that in and of itself is positive reinforcement, isn't it? Yeah. So technically you did it without even realizing it.
I am just so proud of where the field is going with this, the trauma assumed, because we have a lot of kiddos that, especially with COVID, there is a lot that we just don't know, and to unpack and treat them more like humans and build a bonding experience where they trust us and they know that we're safe people.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of the field for that.
You know, and I think that's why I had a problem with it. And a lot of behaviorists get kind of cocky.
Oh, yeah.
Like I had a professor who was like, I can change any behavior, but they don't take into consideration the cognitive and the trauma. And people are complex. Kids are complex. And you can't tell me that their trauma doesn't affect that behavior.
Oh, absolutely.
And you need to take in everything into consideration.
Absolutely.
In my mind.
Yep, there's a lot of good research coming out with Greg Hanley, Dr. Greg Hanley, who's a huge guy in our field. Like I said, with the trauma assumed and what is at the core of these problem behaviors. You know, we want these kids happy, relaxed, and engaged. But if they're in the middle of a problem behavior and we're just ignoring it, like that's not helping the problem.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll get off my soapbox here. I could talk about this forever, but
same.
How about you, Jess?
I am currently getting my master's degree in mental health counseling. And I have done 5 years of in-home therapy, which was awesome and horrible at the same time. Not horrible, but I was so involved in people's lives and in their problems, and I got burnt out really easy.
Yeah.
And crisis situations. And I think I got a lot of, I don't know if this is a Massachusetts thing or this field. I mean, because I have 2 bachelors. I have a bachelor's in criminal justice and a bachelor's in psychology.
I don't think I knew that.
I didn't know that either.
Oh, yeah.
Smarty pants.
But,
and a military background?
Yeah. After the military, I was finishing my criminal justice degree. I was burnt out from the military, and I was a year away from graduating in criminal justice. And then I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I declared a second major and just continued and got my second in psychology. So I graduated at the same time for both. But a lot of the attitude towards me in the agency I worked at was like, oh, well, you just got a bachelor's degree. You don't know what you're talking about. And that pissed me off because I have a lot of life experience with trauma, with, you know, my sister's autistic and my family's crazy. So just kidding. And they listen to this, but they know. Just kidding. It pissed me off that I couldn't do anything further because I didn't have that piece of paper. So I decided to go back for my master's, and I graduate in May.
Woo! Woohoo! Are we gonna have a
Yay.
party?
Fuck yeah.
But I get what you're saying, whether you couldn't go any further in your field unless you got another degree, which is kind of where I was at,
Yeah.
you know?
All right. So, what inspired you to pursue your current career? Jess?
I was actually just talking to my therapist about that today. Randomly. And I think I've always had it in me to help others. That's how I was raised. You know, my dad was a good example of helping like the less fortunate. We always had random people who didn't have anywhere to go over for Christmas.
Oh.
Yeah. But also in the military, I don't know if I had a lot of close friends, obviously, because you don't go through stuff without trauma bonding, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would be the person that people would come to when they're having a hard time.
That must have been heavy, though.
Yeah, but it wasn't overwhelming yet, or to the point. Like, it was most of the time when people's spouses, they found out their spouses were cheating on them and they were kind of breaking down. Like when I was in Iraq, one guy was like, go get Humphreys. I need someone to talk to.
Oh.
And so that felt kind of good. And then the military has like a first sergeant, and they call them the first shirt. They are the people that go and take care of everybody else, you know, their mental health if one of the airmen or whatever is struggling, like at home and deployed. They kind of step in. And when we were deployed, I would always check in on the first sergeant. Be like, hey, you're dealing with all the other shit. How are you doing, though? And so I think that kind of... It's important to me to feel like I'm making a difference. And if I change the life of one person, then I feel like I've been successful. So your turn. Tender, isn't it?
That was beautiful. Jeez, I can't top that.
Sure you can.
Okay. Well, it all kind of started in undergrad. I was originally a double major in elementary education and psychology. And honestly, I wasn't doing good on my MTELs, which is the Massachusetts licensing tests, which were excruciatingly painful. I think I had to pass 5 and I only had passed 2 at that point. So I was like, all right, well, I can't go on to student teaching unless I pass these. So I ended up talking to my advisor at the time, and I ended up doing my psych major and then a minor in elementary education. But this was actually a good thing because it actually helped me be able to go study abroad. So I was able to go to Scotland for a semester.
Super jealous.
Oh, love Scotland. I've been there several times. It's just a beautiful country. So because of that, I got to have more freedom in what I chose for electives and everything. So in the psychology department, they had like ABA 101, talking about problem behavior and different ways to shape behavior. So I was like, oh, why not? And that's actually how I got into it. I ended up being part of research. I was able to help with this gentleman that Corey, gosh, I can't remember his last name. Anyways, he was a doctoral student. I got to help him with his research. So be like a research assistant. We got to have like poster sessions at my college. So that was amazing. So I just ended up falling really in love with the field, and ta-da.
And here you are.
And here I am.
I have a side story.
Okay.
I took ABA also in undergrad, and the professor was Brazilian.
Ooh.
And I've never heard ABA stuff sound so sexy than when he taught the class, because he had that accent. Like you take the coin and put it in the candy machine. It was, yeah. Anyway, that's all.
I love it.
I didn't think it could be sexy, but it was.
That's great. All right. What are your passions and hobbies outside of work?
Oh, where do I start? Okay. Well, I'll say one of my biggest ones is reading.
Yes.
And Jess, I know you can attest to this. This is something we really bonded over, was reading. We are reading obsessed. We have to go to Barnes & Noble. Like we try like once a month, and we always try to, the 50% off.
Yeah, the buy one, get one 50% off.
But besides reading, I love hockey. We have a AHL team here where we live. So me and my husband do season tickets.
It's called the Springfield Thunderbirds, and they are the affiliation of the St. Louis Blues.
Thank you, honey.
Are they sponsored? Are we sponsored by them? Are you going to work on that, Rob?
No, I can. Yeah, let me talk to my rep. See if we can get something going. There is a podcast that I started listening to, and White Lion, who we both work for, sponsored the podcast.
What? Okay, then get on that too.
But yeah, I would say hockey, reading. I mean, this definitely is a hobby. I mean, I enjoy doing this every week with you. It's so much fun, and just researching topics and stuff. Yeah. Because, well, we'll probably get into it in a further question, so I won't answer it right now.
So hobbies, reading, obviously. I am a shopaholic, and I probably qualify as a library, which I don't know if you know this, but 1,000 books will qualify you as a library. And I'm probably close, if not there already.
I know I'm not there yet, but it's crawling there.
Yeah. Hannah introduced me to the horror genre.
Whoop, whoop.
And our first book that we read together was amazing.
I still think about that book.
Me too. It will never leave my mind.
No.
It's Mary by Nat Cassidy. It's crazy because when we started to read it, I came to Hannah and I'm like, I have 2 theories and you're probably going to think they're crazy. And so I told her these theories, and I'm not going to say because it will spoil alert. And the first theory was so completely outlandish. And she's like, yeah, I'll go with the second one. But both of them happened to be true.
Yeah.
I was on it. Like,
she was really good.
Yeah.
So actually, I think theme music was our first.
Was it?
Now that I'm looking at my bookcase right now. But anyways.
Oh, it was.
Mary by
But
Nat
Mary-
Cassidy.
Yeah.
Fabulous story. He actually just came out with another book on October 31st. Nestlings.
That we're going to be reading.
And what I also like about Nat Cassidy is he responds.
Yes.
That's what I love about him. Like, I did a TikTok.
Mhm.
It had like 2,100 views and he still responded to it. I don't know. It doesn't need a million views. He just will respond, which I
Yeah.
love.
He's awesome.
But also theme music by
Yes.
T. Marie Vandelli, right?
Yes. That was the first one.
Oh, that was a good one.
That was.
That was a really good one.
I like trying to guess what's going on.
I know.
The Push wasn't
Eh,
my favorite.
No.
But Mary, if you like horror books, definitely read Mary.
You will be sad. You will laugh. That's the thing about the horror book.
Funny.
You laugh. And you don't
Yeah.
think you're going to laugh during a horror book, but you will laugh.
You're like laughing while there's blood and guts
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes. And
Hilarious.
women with sheets over their head. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, it's
crazy. It's a
every
wild
time
ride.
I see my bathtub, I'm like, if you've read Mary, you know, but
Yeah. Other hobbies, podcasts. I've always been a true crime junkie ever since I think I was a teen. Obviously, criminal justice and podcasts and snuggling with my dogs. I'm not very exciting. I mean, I think I'm exciting, but like, it's not like I go run marathons anymore. I don't think my knees would let me do that. We have been camping a lot because we just bought a camper
that's
this year.
true. Yeah,
So
you guys have
that's
gone some
So
fun places.
jealous.
yeah. Also, our go-to campground has 2 campers there that you can rent. So I'm thinking that you guys might have to join us.
That would be fun.
Get us the deets.
We will. I will. Because that would be fun. And you can bring Kenzie.
Oh,
They
Kenzie
love
would
dogs
it.
there.
Kenzie would absolutely love it.
Can we bring the dog into the camper that we rent?
I think so. Because they love dogs.
You let us know.
I will.
All right. I got 2 book questions here, so we'll go with this one first. Favorite horror book?
Oh, yeah. We just talked about that.
Yeah, we kind of did. But I do have another one to add.
Okay.
Pet Cemetery by Stephen King.
I haven't read that.
Absolutely fucking fantastic. And I'm a huge Stephen King fan, but it is incredible. I actually did the audiobook and the gentleman who reads it did an amazing job. It is probably one of my favorite endings of all time.
Really?
Yes.
So that's a Stephen King one I should definitely read.
Yes. I still think about that ending. It's
Really?
amazing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Love it.
Well, I'm new to the horror, so I think Mary's my favorite so far.
Mary's a good one too, though. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
What book has had a significant impact on you in your life?
Oh, God.
I can go first on this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's 2 that I can think of right on the top of my head is A Man Called Uva or A Man Called Otto.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we watched the movie on that.
Did you bawl?
Oh
I
my God.
bawled.
I
Oh my God.
cried like a baby at the end.
Yeah.
We both did.
Tom Hanks, amazing actor. He did a fantastic job with
Right?
that movie.
Yeah. I bawled in the movie theater. It was like ugly crying. And I've obviously read the book. But I listened to that book and it was the State Farm guy that narrated it, Like,
Oh, yeah. I
we
didn't
know a
that.
thing or two because we've seen it. Yeah. It's that guy who narrates it.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, he has 2 initials for his name, right?
I don't know. I don't know his real name. I'm sorry. So I was kind of nervous about Tom Hanks because this is what I pictured in my mind for.
Yeah.
But Tom Hanks is always amazing.
Tom Hanks is amazing.
That was just one of those books you feel better
Yeah.
reading after you read it. You're like, man, my life is better.
This guy?
No.
That's
So
the
it
State
must
Farm
be
guy.
farmers
It's
insurance.
Farmers. Yeah, we are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Yeah. Because he's kind of like a gruffy old man.
J.K. Simmons.
Yes. Yes, him.
J.K. Simmons. Yeah, he's a great actor too.
Mm-hmm. He would have been a good Otto. But my other one is Remarkably Bright Creatures by
Yeah. I remember
Shelby
you telling me
Van
about
Pelt, I
that.
think.
Yeah.
And it's just about the North Pacific octopus, and he's in aquarium, and it's just a cute book.
Yeah.
Marcellus Forever, if anyone's read that.
I love
It's
that.
just, yeah, it's just a cute little story that I'm like, how fun. But anyway, your turn.
All right. I'm going to sound like a little whore when I tell you one of mine.
Own it.
But I love the series by Sarah J. Maas, A Court of Thorns and Roses. And Well, a couple reasons why is because after several years, it got me back into reading. And I absolutely fell in love with the characters. And so then I just went down this spiraling path of reading all of her books. So I'm totally hooked on them.
Are you?
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge Sarah J. Maas fan. Like, I already pre-ordered her next book that's coming out in January or February.
Nice. They are so big right now. Like, everyone on the Bookstagram and the Book Talk talks about them. And so when they're that big, I kind of refuse to read any of them.
And I get that. I do. I love them. Yeah. I do. And then one standalone book by E.V.E. Schwab is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I mean, that book changed me.
That was so interesting.
I'm actually planning to reread it because I don't reread books. But that one I'm going to reread because it just touched me in so many different ways. Like, it's a love story, but it's about travel and about her finding herself and regret, anxiety, and sadness. And it's like you will feel all your feels in the book. And I just absolutely adore it.
Was that a movie?
It's becoming a movie.
Okay. That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It's in the works.
I listened to it, to the audiobook.
Oh, you did? How was the audiobook?
I enjoyed it.
Was it dual people? Or
yes.
Was it yeah.
I like dual people audiobooks because I love podcasts.
Same.
If it sounds like a podcast, feels like a podcast,
yeah,
it's an audiobook.
Okay. Oh, that's funny.
So my other one is The Kitchen House by Kathleen Grissom.
You told me to read that. I have that.
Oh my God. That's another book. You are in your fields and it's historical fiction.
My favorite genre.
And it's difficult to read because it's about the slavery years and everything. But what I love about it is about this slave family that takes in this white girl. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story.
I'll have to add that to my list.
All right. Now I could talk about books all day.
Yeah.
So.
Moving on. All right. If you could visit any haunted location, where would you want to go?
I think we should plan a trip to Edinburgh, Scotland.
I will go to Edinburgh anytime.
I'm down.
I love Edinburgh.
I've never been. Always wanted to go. And I've heard that there are plenty of haunted places there to keep us busy.
Plenty.
Yeah. My brother went to the cemetery.
Oh, Greyfriars.
Yeah, he said it was super creepy.
Yeah, it's a great cemetery. It is a great cemetery. Edinburgh is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. I lived there for my undergrad. I went there back in 2005, and then I went back for our undergrad for a semester, and then I took my husband there on our honeymoon. And it's beautiful.
Sweet.
So it's funny you mentioned Edinburgh because I was going to say Mary King's Close because I've been there already, which is where you go underground into like the old streets of Edinburgh.
Yes, I saw
totally haunted down there.
Show about that.
Yeah, it's totally haunted down there.
Okay, we have to plan a trip.
It's a great city. I would totally go back in a heartbeat.
We need to message Sam Hugh and see if he'll meet us. Hey Sam, you want to go on a ghost tour? I won't touch you inappropriately. I swear. It was the ghost.
I'm not making any promises. That's fine. Consent is important, everybody.
Oh, anyway.
And if you haven't seen Outlander, please go watch it.
You'll thank us later.
Well, we all know where, Jess, what's your favorite place to travel?
Honestly, I love, love, love New England because you can visit so many places and they're so close.
I don't think you told everyone where you're from. I think I mentioned it, but.
So I was actually born in Colorado and lived there till I was 18.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay, see, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
I don't really mention it as much because, that's where I spent most of my life, but it was just so long ago. And so I literally went from my high school graduation to the airport to fly to Utah because my family had already moved over there. Plus, I hated high school. Yeah, so being from the West, coming to New England, I got lost in a million thoughts right there. Forgot the question. My big dream was coming to New England. And so now that I live here, I love going to visit everywhere. And there's so much history. But I would love to go to Europe more. The only time I've been over there was with the military, so.
Any specific country or city in Europe?
I know Scotland, Ireland, and the UK, I think. I would love to visit all those. I've been to Spain on a layover, and that was the first time I stepped foot in the ocean. But anyway, I could talk about myself for like 5 hours.
Wait, the first time you stepped in the ocean?
Was in Rota, Spain, on the way home from Africa.
Wow.
We had an 18-hour layover.
That's an experience, though.
Cool.
Living so close to the coast.
Yeah,
We take that for granted.
We totally do, because I'm like, really? That was the first time? Like, it's just shocking.
Yeah, landlocked.
I can't imagine being landlocked. I feel like I'm going to hyperventilate.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get good seafood.
No, good thing I don't really like it. But.
Well, I would also say that I would want to visit Norway, Finland, like the three fingers, they like to call them.
Is that what they like to call them?
Right? Because it's a Norway, Finland.
Two,
Isn't it
better
the
make
Nordic-
it 3.
Nordic,
coast?
yes. I would love to go there. And also Prince Edward Island in Canada, because I love Anne of Green Gables. I love Anne of Green Gables.
I love Anne of Green Gables
right?
too.
Like the Megan Follows one.
Yes, yes.
So Jess kind of gave us her background and where she grew up. So Hannah, tell us about your background and where you grew up.
All right. Well, I do want to start off by saying that I had a very loving family. I have 2 younger brothers who I adore. I have a mother that is amazing. I also have an aunt that helped raise us, and a grandmother who actually just recently passed, who was amazing as well. So all that said, not a fan of my father, I will say in a very nice way. He left when I was, I think, 8, but it was, anyways, a broken home. We'll just say that. And so my mom, obviously was trying to do the best she could with 3 kids. We went to private school all my life until I decided to go to a college. My upbringing was probably a lot different than a lot of kids because I didn't go to public school.
I did not know that.
Yeah. The teachings were very strict evangelical Christian.
Oh, I knew that part.
We didn't get a sex talk at school. Like they have sex ed kind of now. Was more like, if you do that, you're going to hell. I grew up very naive.
Same.
Very, very naive. I didn't really know much. And we were told to hate a lot of things and hate a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a big learning curve when I went to college and after, but I kind of have broken away from all of that, obviously, and have become a more accepting person. I just want to reiterate, I had an amazing childhood. My mother was absolutely amazing, but there was just a lot of extra stuff that happened outside the household that weren't wonderful and great. And we could totally talk about religious trauma. I'm hoping we can do an episode, something like that soon, because religious trauma is a real thing.
Yeah. I know I make all my Mormon cracks during the episode, so it's obvious. I was raised as a Mormon, and I was like a completely different person. I never even said hell.
Yeah.
And
I didn't swear till college either, so.
And I was so naive, and I'm going to share a funny story. In high school, one of the popular kids was teasing one of the girls about her not knowing what a boner was. And I was like, why don't if you just told him, he would leave you alone. And she's like, no, I'm not going to tell him. And I kept telling her that because I didn't know what one was at that point either. And I'm like, just tell him, he'll leave you alone. Or just tell him, because I want to know what it is. But yeah, I was raised very, I don't know, I guess it was strict, especially when I was young. But my dad always held positions in the church. At least this is what I perceive of what I remember is like, if people don't live this way, then they're going to hell.
Right.
And so I think that as a young child kind of wears on your psyche a little bit. And you grow up thinking that everybody's bad and you're good. Yep. And if you don't do these specific things, then you're also bad. And I think that's where a lot of that religious trauma comes in, among the other things. So I actually fell away, became inactive, what they call, when I was around 23, and I moved out. And I wasn't under his roof, and I explored a whole new world. And then I joined the military when I was 24 and found a whole different world. But I hated people, and I don't know if you ever experienced this. People would live a certain way during the week and then go to church on Sunday and be like, I love Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ, blah, blah, blah. And so I refused to be that person.
Yeah.
When I stopped going, it was because I didn't want to live that way during the week. And I'm not going to be one of those hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that when or if I go back, it's because I want to live it.
Right.
And live it fully and not just on Sundays. So,
no, I get that. I mean, because that's what a lot of deacons were doing, at least in the churches I was growing up with.
mm-hmm.
You know, you would hear about sexual assault and abuses of all different shapes and sizes, unfortunately. So it's hard to look at that and then be like, but you were just preaching to me on Sunday, you know?
Yeah.
And I know we're all human, but it's the hypocrisy, like we talked about. Like, you know, my grandfather is a evangelical pastor. So I was always expecting, especially since people knew me, it was always hard for me since people knew my family and our family name, my maiden name, obviously. They're like, well, you know, I know who your grandfather is, so you better have this Bible question right. It was like always this expectation, and that was hard to live up to. You know, like I remember they would come for Grandparents' Day, and it wouldn't be about seeing us grandkids. It would be about who we could shake hands with. It wasn't about the family. And because, I mean, getting a little deep here, but the message of Jesus, if you decide, you know, that's what you want your faith to be, is about love and acceptance. Because Jesus wasn't hanging out with the high priest. He was hanging out with fishermen and people that were setting up a storm. You know, I just feel like Christianity has been switched out in this totally different wrong way, you know?
Yeah. And that's
not attainable.
Yeah.
Not attainable.
That's what I feel like is the problem with organized religion in general, is you get a bunch of men who are men. And when certain people get in power, they take advantage. It was the Handmaid's Tale that finally made me realize that. But if you look at the doctrine of Jesus Christ, he said to love everybody.
Right.
Not white people, not straight people.
Right.
Everybody.
Yep. Boring if we were all the same.
Right? And he without sin cast the first stone.
Preach it.
Mom, if you're listening, I'm talking about church things. Just kidding.
I have met some of the most amazing people in my life, and people that I would stand in front of a bus, and they're not Christians. They identify with anything but the opposite. Going to church on Sunday doesn't mean shit.
Yep.
I feel like we just got real
Yeah,
deep.
We got
real
real
deep.
deep. So with that,
Sorry, this should be for another episode.
It's fine.
So with that, we'll take a break. And during this break, we definitely want to thank Lynn LaBelle of Springfield. Thank you very much. She is
Thanks,
one of our...
Lynn from Springfield.
And we also want to give a shout out to Heather A. from New Jersey. She is one of our patrons. And if you want to become one of our patrons, go to wickedwanderingspodcast.com and you can make a donation to our podcast as little as $3 per month. If you do enjoy the content that you hear, please go to wickedwanderingspodcast.com, and as little as $3 per month, you can donate to us. And that goes to helping us produce this, put it out into the world.
If you do, I'll send you pictures of my feet.
That's for the other podcast. Onlyfans.com. No.
We really appreciate all that do donate right now, Miss Lynn LaBelle.
You mean all the other ones too that we have yet to mention? Since you guys are here listening, you must be a fan of the podcast.
Woohoo!
And if you want to show your support, head over to wickedwanderingpodcast.com. Click on the support tab and choose a monthly subscription starting at just $3 a month. Your contributions will directly fuel our podcast production, and as a thank you, we'll give you a shout out in every episode.
Woohoo! And you know what might be fun too? If like we will say your name and like your favorite haunting place, murder mystery, or serial killer, we would love to know.
All right, and now back to the show. All right, so I just have a couple more questions. Who are your role models or people who have influenced your life?
Wow.
I think back to my time in the Air Force and one of my close buddies that we went through a lot together. His name is Mike Buell. I doubt he's listening, but it would be awesome if he was. We went on every trip together, been through some stuff. He was my squad leader for my first deployment, and he was staff sergeant. I was just a little airman, first class. piece of nothing.
A little peon.
Yeah, a little peon. We became really good friends after that deployment, and seeing him grow like professionally, and I haven't seen him in years, and not the last time I was back in Utah, but the time before that, I met up with him, and it was so good. He's now chief, which is the highest enlisted that you can go. And just seeing him kind of grow into this different person, because when he was just a staff and we were on these deployments, he could be a dick. But it was hilarious because he was never a dick to me. But seeing him grow professionally and as a person, and it's been really awesome. And I'd probably say my mom. Just kidding. I'm kind of being sarcastic about that. But my mom, I mean, I'm 5 of 8 kids, so there's a lot of us. And my mom's been through a lot raising my sister. And she is a true warrior and a Wonder Woman. And if I could be half the woman she is someday, you know, I'd be a great woman. And her and I talk almost every day with my sister, Angela, and we just giggle all the time.
I love
It's
that.
great. Yeah. Your turn.
So I have 3. I would definitely say my mom. I have to. I know it's like cliche, like it's my mom, but no, it's my mom. You know, it was obviously rocky relationship when I was in like teens, early 20s, but I mean, that's just like normal, I feel, for mother-daughter relationships. And I was the oldest, so I was the tryout child. I always tell her I was the practice child. She hates when I say that. She showed me what strength was, and that you don't need a man to complete your life if you don't want it. And she ingrained in us early that education is something that no one can take away from you. And
Love it.
yep, I give her props for pushing me even though I didn't want to be pushed.
That's what moms do,
That's
you
what
know?
moms do. And then I'd probably say my aunt, because she kind of helped fuel the weirdness in me.
I love that.
Because growing up, it was like, I kind of talked about this earlier, that it was kind of difficult to be myself because, I mean, you're kind of cookie cutter. And, you know, she made it normal to go in graveyards and look at the graves.
That is the kind of aunt I want to be.
Right?
I want to be the crazy, spooky aunt.
And like, let's watch Addams Family. Like,
Yeah.
and you know, and listen to spooky music. And I'll never forget the time that she told me, "You want your life to be changed?" I was like, sure. She's like, listen to this song. And it was Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Yeah.
And it's still one of my all-time favorite songs because it's like, it's just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
So she kind of helped develop the weirdness in me. But my last one is probably going to be my brother Jonathan, that you all have gotten to know over a couple episodes.
We love us some Jonathan.
And the reason that he's one of those people that has influenced me and I look up to, even though he's my little brother, even though he probably feels like he's my older brother, he's my little brother, is that he has also helped me embrace my weirdness, because it's taken me a while to be okay with it, because it's not society standards, quote unquote, but like, it's okay that you like to be in a dark and gloomy room and read a horror book. Like,
Yeah.
yes, you might look like a serial killer, but that's okay.
But you know you're not.
But you know you're not, right? Like,
Unless you are, and I just don't know yet.
but like, it's okay to like want to have a fake skull on your bookcase, or like Bigfoot, or, you know, just have candles lit everywhere and be in the dark and not like summer,
And have a Rob? Is that what you mean? Yes.
and have a husband that understands my weirdness. Is that what you want me to say?
I was going to just say marry a Rob.
And marry a Rob.
You know, I do have a friend, Kim, who has married a Rob.
Really?
So I condone marrying a Rob. Robs are great.
Is your husband's name Rob?
No.
Oh, it's Dave.
Marry a Dave. A David. Awkward. Good thing he doesn't listen.
He doesn't?
No.
Wow.
No. But that's okay.
Wow.
Stinker.
Yeah.
Dave, you need to start listening. All right, just a couple more questions. What are your future goals or aspirations?
You know, when I think about that, I think about like professionally. I haven't really made like personal goals of what I want to be. It's all been professional, which is interesting.
I guess my future goals and aspirations would probably just to be a good human. I know that's
Goal
probably...
achieved.
Goal achieved,
Aw,
absolutely, 100%.
shucks, guys, good Tito's. Yeah, just to remember to just live every day to the best you can.
That was so
I don't
corny.
know.
Just kidding.
I know it is corny,
No.
but like,
No, you're 100% accurate.
I don't know. I just want to fill my days with people that actually give a shit about me. And I don't know. I don't know where to go with this question. Go ahead.
Well, what would your perfect life look like?
Living in Scotland in a castle, doing this podcast.
With a Sam and a Rob?
Hey, now.
I mean, we don't even have to mention Rob. It's fine.
Oh.
Just kidding, sweetie. Love you mucho.
She would drop you.
I guess so.
Just kidding.
No, there is no just kidding. She's 100% serious.
I mean, it's Sam Hewen, though. You know,
I'd dump Hannah for Sam Hewen.
Truth.
You know what? If Henry Cavill ever approached me in all of his British manliness, no one would stand a chance.
He's the one that does The Witcher, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
He is my celebrity.
I don't blame
Obsession.
you with that, especially with that white hair. I don't know.
Yeah, and those muscles and then he's a gentleman. Like I've never seen him be cocky, and it's like he's shy when people joke about how handsome he is.
Well, it's like Jamie, like he's all dirty and stuff, but
He could throw me up against a wall any day. All right, it's getting hot in here. I'll answer my question. My aspirations is to someday grovel at the feet of Henry Cavill. No, professionally, I think like having my own private practice.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. That is not mine. That's interesting.
Yeah. I want my own space, my own business, but also I did want to work for the VA and work with veterans because I know a lot of veterans won't go to therapists who aren't themselves veterans.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense.
And so that is something I would like to do. I would love to retire. My husband and I have plans to be like snowbirds, like live
Really?
6 months in Massachusetts and 6 months in either Utah or Arizona. And so the way that we have it planned with once we both get our licenses, mine in mental health and him in electrical, we can get licenses in different states and then do halftime here, halftime out west.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
That'd be cool.
yeah.
I guess I would change my answer a little bit, and I'd probably add to be published in
Ooh.
either a ABA journal for research or a book that I wrote, because I've written a lot. I used to write a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you write horror?
No, actually. I mean, these writings are from years ago. I've had Rob read them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he was telling me like, wow, this is actually really good because we were together, or because
He wanted to
actually
get
liked
laid?
them. Yeah, pretty much. Which one was it, Rob?
Yeah, Rob. Putting
Listeners
you on the
wanna know.
spot.
You should see him. He looks so shameful right now.
It was to get laid. He's like, Jessica, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Next question.
All right, two more questions. If you could have a superpower, what would it be and why?
I'd want to take people's pain away.
Oh,
That was such a world peace answer.
that's so sweet.
But really, like people who are hurting, just suck it out.
I'm thinking selfishly, like, I want speed. I want to fly. Not Jess. I want to suck pain away. Like, oh my God.
Suck it up in the vacuum. It's just the difference between you and I, Hannah. I'm just kidding.
Well, shit. Ooh. So you want that just to help the
Yeah.
world be a little happier?
You know, speaking of superheroes, I saw a quote somewhere about like superheroes will sacrifice you to save the world, but the villain would sacrifice the world for you. Whew, give me a villain.
That's a lot of spicy books.
Right? I need to read more smut.
So my superpower, jeez, how am I going to answer after that?
Do you want me to change my answer?
No, I probably would say though, because I was thinking like along the lines of that I would be able-
Teleportation. Okay, I do change my answer. I can teleport.
That's a good one.
Just to thinking and show up anywhere. Anyway.
But part of me was like, I want to slow down time so I can read as many books as I want.
Also,
But then I would
yes.
also want to like make every child's childhood happy.
So take away their pain.
Yeah,
Is that your final answer?
I think so.
Well, you guys are very serious about that last question. It was supposed to be a fun one, but
It's Jess's fault.
I ruin everything. That's my superpower now.
All right. Last question as we wrap up this amazing show that we've had. And I hope
sense
you
some
agree.
sarcasm.
No, I definitely, I've learned a lot about both of you. So last question. How did we start the podcast?
This is a good question. Do you mind if I go with this?
Go for it.
So as we said, we became friends after we worked together. And then as we started hanging out, our thing would be that we would go to Starbucks, have coffee, and then we would go over to like Barnes and Noble and just
Best
look at
days
books.
ever.
Yes. And then we started realizing that we were talking about the latest documentary we watched or a book that we read about true crime or like our favorite haunted locations. And we were like, well, I don't know if it was me or Jess.
It was
One of
you.
us, it was me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, wouldn't it be cool if we just started a podcast? And I was like, kind of laughing it off. And she's like, well, why don't we? I was like, really? Like, you would do that? Because I knew it was going to take time. I knew it was going to take equipment and money. And she was all for it. And now we just basically take our conversations that we would have at Starbucks and bring them here to you guys.
Yeah. And sorry, not sorry for that.
Not sorry. I think it was probably one of the coolest decisions I've ever made. Like,
It was
to do
actually,
with you.
yeah, it was rather quickly. You're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I've been thinking about making a podcast. Yeah, I've always wanted to as well. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah. And I
'Cause-
knew Rob had the experience with
Yeah.
the equipment and stuff. So
Yeah. And that's something that goes over my head. And so I think that's why I never would have acted on it had it not been the planets aligning and we met. So, yeah.
I've had so much fun doing this show. I've really enjoyed it.
Hell yeah. It's been fun.
I've had a lot of fun too,
Yeah.
especially yesterday, earlier.
Lucky for Rob, he gets to listen to us all the time.
And then again, when he edits.
Yeah.
So Hannah and I wake up in the morning and we're going through our day and Hannah goes, oh shit, it's Wednesday. And I was like, yeah, it's Wednesday, whatever. And she goes, you didn't finish editing the podcast. I was like, oh shit. I had a half an hour left. So I jumped on it. I finished it and I posted it.
That's why I sent it out there on our story just saying, sorry, lives got in the way. Like, we do have other jobs and lives, but we're
Life
getting there.
happens.
It's all good.
Well, Lynn LaBelle from Springfield was like, hey, I can't find the podcast.
Oh, did she really say something?
Yeah, she did.
Oh, jeez.
That's funny.
Hey, as long as it goes up anytime during Wednesday, that's fine with me.
Yep.
Maybe I should start changing the times. Midnight one day, one Wednesday, the next week.
No, because that might throw off.
Noontime.
No, that might throw off our international listeners.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. To
Our
them.
Ireland always shows up before I wake up.
What's up, Ireland?
Hello, Ireland.
Slangeva.
We want to come see you. You want to go to Edinburgh with us?
Well, I've had a good time chatting with you ladies tonight. I've learned a lot, and I hope our wanderers have learned something new about you too.
And hopefully they keep listening.
Yeah, and well, we didn't want to be bantering, when you guys are here to like, yeah, I want to learn about Lizzie Borden, I want to learn about the witch trials or, this certain true crime thing. So we kind of wanted to just compile this into one episode. So if you're like, oh, this is about them, I don't care, and you can skip over it, which
Yeah.
is fine, which is cool. I get it.
Is it though? Just kidding. Of course it is. Because, yeah, fit all the banter into one episode and then
Yeah.
we can move on.
Because we were told by a couple listeners that, hey, it might be good to know something about you guys. So
Yeah.
thanks for the feedback, peeps.
Yeah. And we got some serial killers coming up, some lesser known ones.
Oh, we have asylums coming up.
Yes.
Oh,
And I have a case that I'm close to. My
Yes.
sister's close to, and it will be the 30th anniversary in December.
Oh boy.
So I might talk about that one.
we got
So-
good shit coming.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, and I thank you for listening to Wicked Wanderings this week, and
Yes.
we'll
And
catch you
every
next
week.
time.
Catch you on the flip side.
Bye, peeps.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening today. This show wouldn't be possible without our amazing producer and editor, Rob Fitzpatrick, who works tirelessly behind the scenes to bring you the best content.
And a special thanks to Taiga Soundprod for providing the captivating intro music. Cinematic Intro 24.
And of course, we can't forget the hauntingly beautiful outro music, Rhino's Theme, composed by Kevin MacLeod.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platforms, like Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Your feedback means the world to us.
Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram for behind-the-scenes glimpses, updates, and more thrilling content. You can find us at Wicked Wanderings Podcast.
Thank you so much for listening and being part of our Wicked Wanderings community. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Stay curious
Keep exploring.
and always remember to keep on wandering.